Hey guys, welcome back. This is Raising Myself, and I am Andrea, your host. If it's your first time listening, this show is just me talking about my experiences and my perspectives as I move through this world as a Black working mother of two and a wife. Today, I have Kayla Jo from the Hella Real Show joining me, and we're just going to talk about all things motherhood. Like, parenting was already hard, but then we added a pandemic on top of it. So we're going to talk about some of the beautiful challenges of motherhood. For all my friends listening on Needle, feel free to join the conversation by calling in or posting comments in the chat box. Yes, this show is about motherhood, mainly because I am a mother, so it's from my perspective, but I encourage any of my fathers listening to join in the conversation as well. And for all my friends listening via Just Seriously Speaking on Facebook or YouTube, I welcome your participation as well. Please post those comments or questions to join in the conversation. So welcome back. Last Sunday, we talked about taking the first step and I talked about my experience going to therapy. I had Lauren on the show, and she is a licensed social worker, and she was giving us just a little bit of background of what it's like dealing with clients, just her background, how long she's been in the industry, and giving us some insight about that. And after that show, I really got to thinking about how hard it can be sometimes trying to pull yourself together while raising kids. And I think that that's a challenge that if you're a parent, that you've probably struggled with, but it's not something that honestly I hear talked about very often, because there are days where you're just like, I'm not cooking a whole meal. we're just gonna eat some pizza, or we're gonna eat some breakfast, or we're gonna eat some cereal. And those are the days that you're just downright tired, and your kids are probably like, that's awesome. But to yourself, you might be thinking like, oh man, like you might think you're failing a little bit, or there are just days where you just don't want to get out of bed. But honestly, it seems like it's not really an option. I'm super grateful for my husband, because a couple days ago, I just wasn't feeling well, and I just didn't get out of the bed, seriously. And he made sure that the kids were taken care of, that they were fed. My son, Grayson, he's 4. He really kind of hung out with me the entire time. And he was just kind of chilling like next to me. And I definitely appreciated the fact that I had some support, because honestly, there are many days where I'm like, I just can't get out of the bed. I don't know what I'm doing. And if I didn't have him there, I probably would feel like a big old failure. And then not to mention, last episode, I talked about my daughter wanting to start going to counseling again, and just kind of handling what she has going on mentally and what I have going on mentally seems a little exhausting, and just trying to make sure that I can support her in the best way, and also navigate this preteen stage that we're in, because she's 12 years old. And if you have a 12-year-old, then or if you have a preteen or a teenager, then you know how challenging that can be. So I feel like I'm really just trying to get myself together while still managing a household. And that's a task. So today I have Kayla from the Kayla Jo Show on Instagram, from the Hella Real Show, here today. And we're just going to catch up and talk about, just motherhood and parenting during this pandemic. So Kayla, how are you?
Hi, Andrea. I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
What's up?
How have you been doing during this pandemic?
Girl, well, for the first half of it, I was pregnant. So that was fun. I think I had a lot of anxiety about the delivery.
Okay.
Because I was afraid of hospitals during this time.
Okay, rightfully so.
Yeah, so I would go to my monthly or however often appointments, and that's fine because it's my gynecologist's office. It's a whole nother building than where the delivery is. So that was always fine. But I would be asking her every time, like, how is it at the maternity ward, and what is it like, and are they letting people in? And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to have my husband there with me. And all my other, I have 4 kids that I birthed. I say that because I have 2 stepkids, but for my other 3 pregnancies, that my mom was there. It's outside of my husband, or in the first one case, my baby daddy. But my mom, my other kids get to come see, and just like my dad or just other people come and support. But that's all gone with the pandemic, so I was really anxious about that. Luckily, the hospital that I had the baby at did allow for husbands or significant one support person.
Okay.
So that was their rule, but still, he didn't get the whole experience of everyone coming to the hospital to see him. I didn't get the experience of people coming and bringing me donuts or whatever that I'm used to. So that was the beginning of the pandemic for me. And then I had a baby during the pandemic.
I was going to say, don't forget you had the baby.
Right. So that's been a challenge, having everyone home. All my kids are home, distance learning, so helping them with that while having a newborn, it's been a lot. And then not being able to have my support here because I'm worried, my in-laws have not even met him yet because they're a little older.
Wow.
They're a little older, yeah. So they, that was a risk for them. My parents have met him, but they still weren't able to be here as much as they wanted to. So
I totally forgot that. I didn't forget that you had him in a pandemic, but I totally forgot that there are people in y'all's life that haven't even gotten a chance to see him, and he's 1 year old now.
Yeah, my brother hasn't met him.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I was actually going to ask you, what has been one of the hardest things to deal with during the pandemic?
Distance learning.
Girl, I'm stressed.
Girl, like I already did kindergarten and whatever other grades my kids are in. Then on top of that, I have 2 kids that are too young for school. So then my 3-year-old, she's jealous because they all have something to do. And so she's wanting to have a teacher, and she wants to have activities to do. So now I have to come up with activities for her to do. And it's like sometimes I fall off on that. And then she's just running amok and like getting brazy.
Naya is 12, so her distance learning
You're in the thick of it.
is I'm making sure the Wi-Fi is connected, your computer is not glitchy.
That part.
I'm making sure one, that you're doing your homework, because there was a point at the beginning of this pandemic she was not turning her work in.
Right.
I think she was like zoned out, checked out. It was that first semester. It was god awful. But after the first semester, she got it together, and now she has really good grades. So that was a little challenging because I'm like, when they go to school, right, they do a lot of classwork.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, do you have homework? And then sometimes yes, sometimes no. But what they're doing is that the kids are getting out of school at 2.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have something called asynchronous learning where they keep them for another hour.
Right.
And so, but there were some times where she would be sitting at the table till like 4:00. And I'm like, why are you still sitting at this table? I had questions. That pause was for my confusion, because I'm like, how are you sitting at this table for so long and you're not turning anything in?
Yeah, like what are you doing?
And it's so funny because once she started turning in her work, she was not at the table for so long. So I'm like,
she was just,
what are you doing on? I think she was like playing Roblox.
Trying to look busy.
She got a Pinterest page. I'm like, what? I do love Pinterest. I'm not even mad at her, but like, and her and Jared play Roblox together. So like, that's something that they have. But I was like, you're done now. Like, and it's some days where I'll check in and be like, hey, how's everything? She's like, I got a lot of work today. I got this paper due or whatever. So sometimes I'll go, oh, you're still sitting at the table. She was like, yeah, I'm still trying to finish up. And then through everything with them posting the grades and stuff online, I can actually see like, oh, okay, this is good. This is that.
Yeah, but it's hard to keep up with that too. Of like, you just look at the grades. I had to put a thing in my phone just to look at the grades because, you know, the teenagers, they're like, they don't give a shit. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
Especially because they're not going to class. They're
not,
you know, they just kind of, so I have to like make sure that they're actually turning their work in. In the meantime, I have to turn in all Caden's work, my 5-year-old, for him. Because
he's 5.
Right. So they get papers from the school. He'll do the activity, and then I have to upload it to the Google Classroom.
I understand.
So I'm like, no, I got homework.
You got homework.
Like, come on.
I'm sorry.
Like I'm breastfeeding while doing homework. It's like not.
First of all, breastfeeding is one of those things that I don't feel like I was prepared for enough. It's a whole job.
Yeah.
So breastfeeding on top of turning in kindergarten homework. Yeah. You a boss.
I still have some missing assignments.
Oh no!
It's Sunday.
Don't get my boy messed up out of here. Don't get. You gonna have him looking. You like, what's the 0? He gonna be looking at you like, what is that 0?
Like, I did the work. I did that.
You had one job.
Right. Now that they're going in person, I'm like, can I just give you the papers
to
take to school?
What they say?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that's what I just wish. I haven't actually talked to the teacher yet.
Heard. I want to know what's one positive thing that's come out of this pandemic for you.
Well, with having a baby is that I can be home with him.
Yeah.
Like working from home, everything is on the computer, so you know I didn't have to leave him.
Right.
You know, when he's only 3 months or whatever people's cutoff is. I got a job in August. He was born in April, so I did it all from home. I went into the office once to pick up the laptop, and I'm able to still breastfeed and just be there with the baby until, you know, he's already almost 1. So that was a positive. You know, I did a lot more like activities and home stuff, and I'm doing like paint night with the kids or just different crafts and things. That I may not have been able to just spend a bunch of time at Michael's that you do this, do that. So those have been a couple of positives.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel I have been working in person this entire time, but I think since the pandemic, everybody's super sensitive, I think, about mental health now. So we got extra mental health days, which allows us to kind of settle down or take a day if we need it. On top of, Grayson is super into Blippi, so like we building rocket ships and volcanoes and just
that white guy, right?
Yeah,
Kara's into that.
Love Blippi. Shout out to Blippi.
Hey Blippi, what's up? Come on the show.
Also, can I also say that it's nice that stores aren't super packed? Yeah. Okay, because that's something I'm definitely gonna miss when
they were socially distanced.
Yeah, so when you're like 6 people at a time, you're like, all right, I gotta stand in this line.
Yes.
But once I get inside, it is. And so somebody was like, oh, we're going to Six Flags, but they have to do it by reservations. And I was like, that sounds fire.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many people can fit in the Six Flags. I'm assuming it's still a lot, but
even if it's capacity is way down though.
Exactly. That means the lines aren't as long. And like, I'm like, come on.
Yes.
Come on.
And it's outdoors.
Right.
Sounds safe.
It sounds safe. So I'm like, things are looking a little empty. Can we keep this up with the pandemic? Absolutely not. Because let me tell you, the people are out. Okay.
Oh, they're out.
They out. They ready.
Yes.
They are ready for them to get the the full clear.
These are about to be the roaring 20s.
Okay? I'm gonna have me a warm girl summer. I can't have a hot girl summer.
I was like hot mom summer.
A hot mom summer. Have you seen the meme where it's like I'm gonna have a hot girl summer, but my husband picking me up?
Right.
Okay, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna have a good time, but my man, he gonna be with me.
Right.
Yeah.
I know who I'm going home with.
Not to mention, I think, and now we're saying summer, right? Because it's already April. Mm-hmm. That most of the plans that I have now are honestly not until
summer.
Until actual true summer.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of like theme parks, I have some tickets for Disneyland that I never got a chance to use.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to cash those in.
Yes.
I'm ready to reserve me a spot.
Yeah, except you're gonna have to sit on the computer for 7 hours or whatever.
I'm sorry, why?
That you haven't heard. That's like a thing now.
To sit on the computer for 7 hours?
To get tickets to Disney. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sad. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that.
I mean, I don't know if it's improved, but last time I heard, that was like a couple days ago.
Oh, I'm sad.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment. Shout out to Mayor Jagad listening in on Needle and Allende. Thank you guys for tuning in. And Miss Star on Facebook said Atlanta never closed.
No, they did not.
Atlanta never closed. Okay, they're just living their whole best.
Prayers up.
Like
they're living on a prayer.
Okay. Atlanta never closed. I want to tell y'all, I went to Atlanta and got COVID.
Is that where you got COVID?
Yes. Me and my daughter, we went to Atlanta.
Y'all got a bad
and got COVID. We had not been sick. I was still working. Now at this point, she was doing like virtual learning, but I'm going out every day at my job. We're washing our hands every 30 minutes. We're wearing masks and we're doing all of the things. We go through the airport. We land in Atlanta and y'all, I about had a panic attack because half of the people in the airport
no mask
were not wearing masks.
Mm-hmm. And that was early pandemic.
Yeah, that was I think it was in June.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so the fact
I remember y'all couldn't come to Kane's birthday party. So July.
Oh, it was July.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was sick. I was like, if I would have just stayed my ass at home, but yeah, we're alive and well. Honestly, I did feel like one time in high school, I had the flu and strep throat at the same time. It kind of felt like that. Mm-hmm. And that was probably like one of the sickest times I've been. And so I started feeling my symptoms a little later than Naya. So I think after like 5 days, she was like back to being 100%. She was eating and everything. And yeah, so, we got Kenny listening in on Needle. Hey Kenny. Kenny, you're just joining us. We are talking about motherhood and parenting and just dealing with things while being in a pandemic, which can be super challenging. Kayla said one of the best things about the pandemic is just having more time to just spend with the family, having a new baby, being able to be home with the kids. And Kenny, I think one of the best things about the pandemic right now is how empty all the stores and everything is. It's just really kind of peaceful. It's really kind of peaceful being out in the world. Okay. Kayla. Okay.
Yes.
So I asked you a positive thing. Okay. I'm just curious. So I posted on Instagram under Raising Myself that mother is a verb, is what you do, not just who you are. Mm-hmm. So who are you outside of being a mother?
I am Kayla Jo. I don't know. Seriously though, I do like. Otherwise, I'd be mom, right?
Yeah.
Like I am my name, not so and so's mom.
Yeah.
And I try to be the same person as a mom than I am in real life because I don't want to I kind of grew up with a hippie mom where it was kind of like everything's talked about or whatever. But I'm not exactly that way, but I do feel like I need to be honest with my kids, and I don't want to paint this picture of myself as someone else or somebody that's like impossible to live up to, because that's exhausting as itself, to like try to hide your true colors or your past or whatever. I don't do that with my kids, and if you do that with your kids, you know, that's your business. Not you specifically.
No, I got you know, I don't do that.
True. But when I'm not with them, you know, I'm a little bit more spontaneous.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit more say a lot more cuss words. Drink a little more. Smoke a little more. Be in a state of intoxicated,
right?
But I don't get too much time to be just Kayla. So
Kayla, you have a whole show. You are what do you call it? A talk show host?
Yes.
Okay. You're a working woman.
Yes, but I'm at home while I'm working.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You are a friend.
Yes.
You somebody's sister?
Yes.
Look, I was like reading that post. I really had to think, like, if I just take away, Andrea, you are not a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I think the first thing that popped into my head was that I'm a sister, because I have so many siblings, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm not a mom. I'm a sister. I got hella nieces and nephews.
Right.
I have like
so you're
14. I have 14 on my mom's side and dad's side combined. Okay. I am
0.
So you're not a TT.
No. Well, I mean, to like your kids and stuff, but like blood wise, no.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I am a working woman. I think I will always just be a working woman. I don't know what amount of money will make me go, that's it. Okay.
What?
I'm not working. That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think. I can't think of that number where I'm like, what is that thing? I'm like, okay, I am a daughter. Mm-hmm. I'm a daughter.
Yes. Definitely.
Can I say I write in my journal, so I'm a writer. In my mind, I'm a writer.
All right.
I dance in my kitchen, so I'm a dancer. Okay. Because that counts. Yes. Okay. Definitely a friend. What I'm not is adventurous, as we talked about. I don't want to zip line. I don't want to.
Come on, get out there.
I don't want to. What were we talking about? Where were you at? I don't want to jet ski. I don't want to skydive.
I don't know about skydiving, but definitely jet ski and zip lining. I'll do that.
I'm a person that does like nature, though, so I'll go on a hike.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like it's really hard, and I think because who I am now, so much of it is wrapped up into being a mom, that I realized that answer actually took me a little longer to.
You know, for me, I think, or not, I think I know that I was never an adult that wasn't a parent.
I see. Okay.
Because I was a teen mom, and so I was 17 when my son was born. So.
She's such me.
So, you know, when I turned 18, I was already a parent. So I've never lived my life not as a parent.
Okay.
You know, and so it wasn't an adjustment for me, really. Because I went from childhood to parenthood.
Okay.
Right. And so it's like I never really had the true freedom of being an adult that people kind of lose when they have children.
Yeah.
So I just kind of always had to adapt my life around being a mother. So it's kind of just, it's more, I feel like it's pretty intrinsic to who I am just because of that.
I see. I feel very similarly, only because me and my older sister were responsible for our younger siblings growing up. And then I had Naya when I was 19. So I think I lost a little bit of, I guess, that freedom or self-exploration, because I've always been responsible for most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think there was ever a time, which maybe when you're in your teens or your 20s, where you're just thinking about yourself.
Right.
You're actually thinking about other people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Jasiri on Needle said that I better own it, that I'm a dancer. And that's awesome. Because I'm a fantastic dancer.
Get it.
And I think my favorite dance is probably the Dougie.
You know, that's the one I cannot do. I cannot do it. I don't know. I'm half white, so sometimes it just doesn't hit.
But at work, they're like, "Oh, what do you do for fun?" I'm like, I dance in my kitchen. Oh, I forgot to say, me doing the step aerobics class has honestly been like one of my favorite things, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, so I know that you have been a mom for a long time. You were talking about your mom being a hippie. Name one way that you're like your mom.
I think I definitely got some of the hippiness.
Okay.
Like, for example,
what does being a hippie mean?
Just first of all, to me it's like a anti-establishment in a way, like stick it to the man kind of thing, where it's like, you question what comes from authority.
Okay.
And also you're more geared towards the earth.
Okay.
And doing right by the earth and those type of things. Also just kind of free love and, just fuck the rules kind of thing.
Okay.
Not that I didn't have rules growing up. I did definitely have rules, and I definitely got popped. Yeah, even though my mom was white. Or is white. I'm saying was because
I got you.
But in that, I would say, like, I always try to shop organic, for example.
Okay.
Or at least with certain fruits and vegetables. Like, if you're gonna eat the skin, it must be organic. That's my rule.
Okay.
So, like a banana, no.
That doesn't matter. Okay.
Right. But like a
pineapple, does it matter?
No.
Okay.
But a tomato, for sure. Grapes, for sure.
Okay.
So I'm and then like you said about hiking, like I'm always looking for like hiking trails. What's, how can I, get outside of, and then like rules for my kids. Like she always had the no caffeine rule, and I apply that to my kids.
Okay.
And I think she's one of those people who doesn't really need like the TV on or the radio on, like at most times.
I see.
Because I found in my adulthood that a lot of people are like that. Like it was weird to me growing up, like going to new people's houses and be like, you guys don't never turn the TV off? Or
I see.
Like it was, so I think I picked that up. Maybe not as much because my job is in television. Yeah. So I need to be up on things a little bit more than she ever did. But yeah. I think those are like the key things that I'm like her. And, not being able to do the Dougie. That's
Jasiri said she can't do the Dougie either. So don't feel too bad.
Thanks.
I just want to take a moment before we go any further. Thank you guys so much for listening. I saw Maynard from 3 Black Guys with a Mic check in with us on Raising Myself. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, please continue to post your comments or your questions for a live response. And also my folks listening on Facebook, thank you so much. Please continue to drop those comments and those questions. Question for the audience. I'm just wondering, like, what's one way that you're like your parents? Because I think so many of us are like, I'm not going to be like that, and like we end up being like that, that one particular thing. But my grandmother used to she used to be like, turn the TV off. Like, how long has that been on? Like, and then growing up, we also used to have reading time. I think we used to hate it, but she would be like, okay, like y'all can turn the TV off. Like everybody just grab a book. And I don't know, maybe she did that so she could take a nap, like so I could just be quiet. But she used to do that all the time. And so,
do you think it turned you into a reader? Or
no,
you were like, this is sucks.
No, I think I was always a reader. Like I liked it. So for me, it didn't really like bother me. Of course, like if you're watching something, like in the middle of watching something, you're like,
yeah, come on,
man. You know, if you're in the middle of watching something, you're like, man. But other than that, I don't feel any type of way about it. Like, I understand. So now there's times where I'm like, okay, you know, how long have you been watching? You know, once you get to the end of this episode,
right?
You know, let me know. But other than that, I'm like, okay. But one way I am definitely like my mom is that she used to tell us she loved us like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think my grandma was super affectionate.
Right.
And so I think that was something she was just very intentional about. And
I think my mom's the same because my grandma was like that too. She
wasn't very affectionate.
No. And if you say, you'd be like, I love you, she'd be like, mm-hmm.
No, mm-hmm.
But she thought saying it all the time cheapened it.
Oh, okay. So what was she saving it for? Like special occasions?
Yes.
When did she say it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I actually did pick up her phrase that she would say to us. So, and I say it to my kids when they leave the house.
Yeah.
When we would leave, she would say, be good. And then she'd be like, if you can't be good, be careful. And I say that to my kids now, especially my teenagers, because they're going off by themselves, you know. And I think she really, now as an adult looking back on it, I think she really just wanted us to be careful.
Yes.
But if you say be good first, then you'll at least be careful.
Right. I think it's interesting that you remember her saying that all the time, but you don't remember her saying, I love you.
She didn't say it.
You're like, let me be clear. She didn't. So,
people say that at her funeral. It was like, she never said that.
My grandmother actually started like being more warm as we got older. Mm-hmm. So I'm sad that my mom didn't really get that much of it. But yeah, my mom said she loved us like all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just because, you know, she knew what that felt like. So, okay. What's one way you are not like your mom intentionally? You're like, I'm not doing that thing.
Well, first of all, I didn't force a diet onto my children.
What was the diet?
I grew up vegetarian.
Okay.
And that was her choice.
Okay. We are not eating meat.
Right. Yes. Me and my brother.
And for how long?
Until I rebelled and ate chicken.
How old were you?
12-year-old.
Okay. I was a 12-year-old.
Is that age. And it was funny because, you know, I still didn't eat pork or beef. And I don't know if this is just a Bay Area thing or what, but there was like a term black vegetarian.
What does that mean?
It means that you're vegetarian, but you eat chicken. I know that sounds super racist, but I didn't know that was racist at the time. But so then I was in the BSU, the Black Student Union, right? And I told them I was vegetarian. So they made sure I always had chicken. And then my mom came by the club one day and she's like, oh, you know, your daughter, we always make sure that we have chicken for her. And then she was like, she doesn't eat chicken. I was like, so I was busted from then. But it was cool to be busted because then I could just freely eat chicken. But even like in the beginning, like eating it in front of her was weird for me.
I'm trying to figure out, Jasiri said, yeah, that's racist. But we forgive because I'm trying to figure out how you said you were vegetarian and they said, well, we got some chicken for you.
Right.
And everybody just thought that was okay.
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't know it was racist at 8 and 7 and 6 years.
Oh, right. Okay.
I didn't know.
And also, did you have the desire to eat chicken then?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I would sneak it in the lunch cafeteria when they would have nuggets. I would have to pop the whole thing in my mouth because everyone knew I was vegetarian, and my mom would always be up at the school because she was a substitute teacher.
Okay.
So then I'd have to like secretly eat chicken nuggets, and it would be like the most tasty thing in my life. So I just with my kids, I just let them eat, you know, whatever, and then if they want to stop eating if they want to take something out of their diet. Cool, I'm here for that. I'll help you. I won't make it for you. I'll make you something else if you're not eating that. But I purposely was like, I'm not forcing any type of food choices onto my children.
All right. You don't want them sneaking eating chicken.
No.
Nah, they ain't got to sneak. Here you go.
No.
Here you go. I think that's super funny. For me, my mom didn't apologize. She would like just come back and make like small talk.
Okay.
Or like ask me, did I want something to eat? Or ask me, did I want to go to the store?
Right.
And so for me, I'm super intentional about just saying I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to say that like that. I didn't mean to,
Yeah.
I apologize.
My mom actually did. And she, when she would yell at us, sometimes she would even come and be like, you know what? I'm PMSing. Like that. I remember that from my childhood. So I always knew what a period was, like way before like sex ed. Like something, because she would just be like, you know what? I'm PMSing. My period's about to come, and I'm flying off the handle for nothing. So yeah, I actually did have that. And I do remember, I actually have a vivid memory of like one time she yelled at me and she didn't come talk to me. It wouldn't always be an apology, but it's just kind of like a post-mortem.
Okay.
Like, and one time she didn't do that, and I was just like, remember being super devastated.
Really?
Yes. And thinking like, well, where is she? Maybe what I don't even remember what the issue was.
You just remember that she didn't come talk to you.
Right.
Isn't it funny the things that we hold on to?
Yes.
So my dad's one of the nicest people. Anaya laughs because one time she was getting in trouble and he called and she was upset and he was like, be nice to her. Like she seems upset. And I was like, and he was like, you need to be nice. And I just remember laughing because he's the nicest person I know. So if he said I needed to be nice, then I needed to be nice. And so Naya randomly would be like, Pop said, you need to be nice. And
you're
so
like, okay,
I just,
you need to be nice.
Okay? You need to be nice.
Listen to Pop. Right?
So I remember this time. I don't remember him yelling at me much, but we had this camper. I had to be like 4 or 5 years old. We had this camper in the back of our house, and there was like a creek. And I fell into the creek, or I was playing in the creek, whatever. I ended up taking all my clothes off outside. Mm-hmm. And that was the first and only time I remember getting my legs popped by him. Mm-hmm. And that memory yes. Because one time I was stealing kids' lunches. Or like snacks out of their lunch pails. Okay. And he had to come up to the school, and they're listening like, they're talking to him, they're like, can you just pack her, snack or lunch? He's like, I do pack it. She's just eating other people's lunches. I don't remember getting in trouble for that. So no, he remembered. Like he laughs when he talks about that, and so I feel like even then I'm like over here stealing other people's food. I didn't even get in trouble for that, but I do remember the one time that I got in trouble. It's like you just don't know, what thing is gonna stick in your kid's mind, like one moment
you don't have any idea.
You have no idea. I think that's almost a little traumatizing because you're like, I'm trying to be a good parent, I'm trying to do this right, and then years later they're gonna be like, do you remember that one time? And you're like, no, I do not. Or what happens is we remember it differently.
Yeah, and I think honestly, as you get older, or just looking at our parents, like as grandparents, like they have this like rosy like recollection of everything, and then like, my son, my oldest son's 16, and when he was like 13, there was a little bit of drama in my family with the house we were living in. You're aware of it, but my son's giving her a lot of attitude, like this is your fault, and yeah. But he was like 13, and she's like, I don't remember you being this way, and I'm like, you don't remember saying that you would sign some emancipation papers so that I could get the fuck out of your house? You forgot about that? She was like, oh no. I'm like,
you're like, I remember that.
Right. 13. It's a terrible age.
It's a terrible age. Her. I got it coming. Yeah. 12 is already a struggle.
Great.
Her, thank you. It's okay.
There's still a little attitudinal from here and there, but
yeah. No, I appreciate the honesty, honestly. Like it's been a journey. I think she's lovely and beautiful and all of these things and terrible at certain moments. And
the hormones.
and that's okay. And that's okay.
Cool.
Earlier, you were talking about not wanting to be, or not wanting to portray this like perfect thing. And I think I felt that so much because in deciding to talk about motherhood today, and I was talking about how, you're just not always together. I remember one time Naya being like, I was crying one day and she was like, you never cry. I'm like, yes, I do. Right. But then I realized like maybe she just doesn't see me cry because I'm crying to myself.
That's another thing when you were mentioning like what do we not do to be like not like our mother.
Yeah.
That I try not to cry in front of my kids because my mom cried all the time.
Oh, okay.
She cried a lot. And maybe because she's a Scorpio, I don't know, but she's just a passionate person.
Okay.
And like I remember once she got stuck in the elevator and she cried. But then I thought maybe that was like it was in a hotel, so maybe it was like she was playing it up a bit.
Okay.
But
no, I definitely had to think, oh, well, maybe she just doesn't see me cry.
Right.
But I do cry.
Yeah.
Now, is it super often? Is it as often as they cry? Hell no. But I do cry. I do cry. I'm not crying as often as they do, but I need her to know, like, I'm not okay right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm feeling XYZ right now. I need to do this right now in hopes of me being transparent and open, that when it's her turn, she'll be transparent and open, because now I'm just like, hey, what's going on? I don't want to talk about it or nothing.
Right. Yeah. I think that just I talk too much, so I can't even be that person if I wanted. Like if you're like, what's wrong? I'd be like, well, first of all, I'm never to be like nothing.
Even as a kid? Even at her age, you weren't saying nothing?
Oh, I don't even.
That's what I'm saying. Because I remember not really talking to, like, I remember being like, oh, I'm fine. Because I didn't want, one time, okay, I love my mama. One time I told her I wanted to go out of college, out of state, and she cussed me out. Okay, so that lets you know that, like, sometimes I would not want to talk. I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Like, and I remember telling my brother, why is she mad that I want to go get an educate? Because she saw that as me just wanting to get away from her. And so, because we ended up talking about it later. I was like, I just laid out some options and you just like chewed me out. Like, I don't know if this is a typical thing that parents do. And I think now being older, I can kind of recognize that anger really being maybe concern or fear, or because like she said, she thought that I was just trying to get away from her. And so now I even think about times where I've kind of like blown up, and not about her trying to come talk to me about important stuff, but I think to them everything's important. So maybe there's times where I've been blown up and she was just like nothing or whatever. And so now I feel like I have to be like, well, when you want to come talk about it, I'm here. And just saying, and just me being honest about my own feelings, I think is my way of trying to get her to open up. My mom was not I don't think she would really tell us that I'm feeling like this or I'm like this. She did things, but she never really talked about it that much. And so I think that's one of those things where I'm trying to be more intentional, like of not being like that. Yeah. All right, guys, just checking in one more time. I'm just wondering, like, in what ways are you like your parents? You tried to say that you were not going to be like your parents, but you still ended up being like your parents. I just want to hear from you. Okay. So you said you've been a parent for 16 years. My bad, I had to pause. Tell me one thing that you used to do that you don't do anymore.
Well, I could probably start with like shopping.
Okay.
So when my oldest was young, I would buy him Jordans and, back then it was Rockaware and Fat Farm and Shine John.
Come on, Fat Farm.
Yes. All those name brands and, sometimes even Burberry, like if I could find it at Burlington's,
Come on, Burlington used to come through.
It used to.
Burlington used to come through.
They used to have that fire.
Yes, they did.
Just be like, oh, my baby's fly or whatever. But now I'm like, for what? First of all, A, they're going to grow out of it very quickly. B, they thrash it. They don't care.
Yeah.
And also, like, why I stress myself out? They want a shirt with, like, Batman on it and some light-up shoes. And, like, that costs $8.99. They want that. So why am I going to deny them that? Because I want them to wear Jordans? No. You can get Jordans when you're older, when you actually care about shoes. Or if you even get to that. Some people never really care about that kind of thing. But I don't stress myself out about what people are going to think. Like, is my baby clean?
Right. Okay.
And
yes.
Right. So, don't stress myself out about those kind of things because they don't. What they like is all the cheap, like, little light up shoes and, the random H&M t-shirts with a tiger on it.
Okay.
Like, they're like, look at my tiger rod. Like, they're into it, so.
Grayson's going crazy right now over Spider-Man.
See, and what? You can find 50 million Spider-Man things at Walmart.
Sure can.
Okay.
He went to Target with Jared the other day and got 2 Spider-Man shirts, and then he woke up the next morning like instantly trying to change into those clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, sir. Wait a minute. Wait. And so you're right. Those outfits cost like $10.
Right. So I think that's one thing that I've changed as I've had more kids.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Oh, not weird, but it's different because, I have children at all different ages.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I'm always tailoring my mothering to different stages of life.
Yeah.
So, and, I think with kids, when they're little, you think it's going to get easier, right? Because they're old enough to take care of themselves. But really, the problems just get different. Like, no, I don't have to watch you every second because you're going to, bust your head on
right.
something. Or, you're going to stick something in your mouth that you shouldn't be doing. No, I don't have to do that anymore. But now I have to deal with, like, people at your school, like, talking to you about, like, for example, Darius, his dad's white, so, and I'm half white, so he looks pretty light. But the rest of my family's like darker skin tone. And some kid at his school saw, his family out front of our house, like, because, the neighborhood's near the school. And they're like, oh, I saw your slaves outside of your house yesterday.
I'm sorry?
Yes. So these are the type of things that you have to deal with. It's like, no, I don't have to worry about, you watching.
You got to worry about fighting a kid. Like, what? What?
Yeah, so those are the type of things that you have to, like, or even his identity, like being like, oh, people be like, why are you acting black? And be like, I am black, right? And then so I'm like, well, just tell them if they're whatever race they are, ask them why they acting that. Like, why are you acting black? Why are you acting why are you acting white? Like,
right.
I am white. Like, okay, there you go.
Right. Oh wow.
But so that's why it's hard for me to kind of answer that question as far as like what do I do different, because it's like it's always changing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still have like a baby and
a
toddler and
yeah.
So it's just figuring out, tackling one problem at a time.
Yeah. Before I had kids, I didn't want kids because, one, I told you I have a whole lot of siblings. So I just knew somebody was going to have some kids and I would be set. Right. And my prediction was right because I told you I have over 12 nieces and nephews. But also, I was super afraid of stretching myself too thin, or maybe one kid feeling like I wasn't paying them enough attention or like favoritism, or like that's actually something I thought about because I think my mom struggled with that because it was so like you could see it within us.
Mm-hmm.
And so even now, Grayson's 4, and so he needs more attention. But Naya says things like, well, he's the favorite. And I'm like, he's not the favorite. He just can't make his own bowl of cereal. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want from me. Like, I'm like, you guys are the exact same kids. You just weren't here to see yourself before.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, it's the same thing.
I did all this for you.
I did all these same things for you. Jasiri on Facebook wants to know, how do you feel about therapy for your kids?
I feel like it's helpful. You know, my oldest son, we actually talked about it on a different podcast called Neuro Nerds. He had a couple of concussions just from on the playground.
Darius,
yeah.
Okay.
And there's something called Post-Concussion Syndrome. And basically your brain can get physically injured, but feel like a mental trauma because it's your brain.
Okay.
So that's what post-concussion syndrome is, and it can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, and things of that nature. Okay. So, you know, he kind of went into that spiral where his school counselors were calling me and be like, he's saying things like his friends talking about suicide and these kind of things, like those are red flags. And I didn't even know about post-concussion syndrome. And later when I found out about it, it was much more helpful because at first I was like, who hurt my baby? Like, who do I need to like
so
ride out, or adults.
Or
ride out on, like, because I could see a clear difference in his personality.
Okay.
But it was this post-concussion syndrome.
Okay.
So once, once I found out about that, I got him into the therapy through the school. And it was really helpful for him. And then once he found out about post-concussion syndrome, and it wasn't like he felt like that kind of gave it took away its power.
I see.
You know what I mean? It gave it like a something he could pinpoint. Yeah. That it's like, okay, it's because of this. I hit my head. I had an MRI and everything, you know, so I know that I had an injury.
Oh, wow.
That's why I was feeling this way. It's not me.
Yeah.
And that actually brought him out of it. And also, you know, being able to talk to someone that's not me.
Right.
You know, someone that's not his parent.
That's helpful.
So I'm for it. I don't know if, like, would I just do it just because, you know, just for maintenance or whatever. I don't know if I would.
For him or for you?
For anyone. Like my other kids.
I see. You know? Okay.
Maybe I should. I don't really know.
I don't know
how that goes, or
I don't know if I would do it if
like nothing's wrong.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do it just being like, oh, you seem all right, but let's go to some counseling. Right. You know, just I feel like
I
feel like I'm open to it, as I've expressed on the show before.
Open to it. Yes.
But I feel that way because things have happened, like dramatic changes have happened in our lives.
Yes.
And she's expressed that, you know, she enjoyed it. She, you know, but yeah, I don't know if it wasn't for that, if I would be like, you know what?
Right.
We're just going to get some counseling.
Right.
But
I know some people do it that way. So that's why I brought it up.
I was just about to say, I've read a couple things on marriage counseling that married people should be going regularly.
Right. I've heard that too.
Right. It shouldn't just be when there's a problem. Right. So it's kind of when you said that tune up and that check-in, you know, we should be doing those things regularly anyway to avoid, right? Why do you get a tune up? Why do you get your oil changed?
Right, so your car doesn't break
down.
It
doesn't break down. Right. Yeah. So I think honestly, that's probably something that, you know, maybe just to revisit. I think maybe if she gets to a point, you know, after this first couple of counseling that she feels like good, or, you know, that may be like, oh, you know, do you want to do it once a month, or do you want to do it, you know, every 2 months? I don't know, like pick a thing. But I after reading that, I think I'm more open to, you know, it doesn't have to be when something is wrong.
Right.
It could just be, honestly, at this point, when they go back to school, it could just be talking to the counselor every once in a while, because that's what they're there for.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely what they're there for. All right. Last question. And taking care of everyone else, how do you take care of yourself?
I don't know. I'm just kidding. I actually,
No.
actually, Hella Real helps me out because it's like you said, it's time for me to be me.
Yeah.
And just, even though it's kind of like work in that, you know, it's a production that I'm putting together.
Right.
It's still me and my friends or somebody that I admire or like would want to get to know as far as like guests we have or co-hosts that I'm kind of spending time with. And so that's a form of self-care for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, mani-pedis.
Yes.
So now that that's back, I will be doing that again. And, you know, I would take a couple of extra time to, you know, grab a coffee or whatever it is. Sometimes I just go outside. Like, I just need to, like, not hear the kids running and yelling and whatever it is, and I just go outside, get some sunlight, sit on my lawn, feel the earth under my feet. You know what I mean? Like I am on this earth right now. Like grounding. That's
grounding.
That's
it's a thing.
Yeah. So sometimes, and I just like feel the sun on my face, like just straight up sit outside.
Hear
the birds chirp and the crickets and watch the coyotes.
Come on, not the coyotes. Wait a minute now.
It's Burbank. You never know what you're going to see. It's hella wildlife out here.
All right, real quick, shamelessly plug your show.
Oh, yes. So I have a YouTube channel called Hella Real. We are California-centric. We focus on the Bay Area and Los Angeles. And we talk about trending topics, kind of like a girl talk type of thing. Talk about sex sometimes, you know. And we also try to highlight movers and shakers in the community and also Black-owned businesses, and we talk to business owners, things of that nature. And we love art, so we always have some type of art in the background on the set. Sometimes we even have it for sale or whatnot. We work with artists all the time, so that is the overall. Check us out at The Hella Real Show on Instagram, YouTube. Just look up Hella Real and follow, like, subscribe.
Follow, like, subscribe. Well, Kayla, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I want to say that you are a fantastic mom.
Thank you.
And
you
outside of that, thank you. You're also an amazing friend, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and being with us just as we chit-chat about motherhood. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great night. And this is Raising Myself.